new analysis from the Taxpayers Alliance has found that the public sector headcount has expanded to nearly 6 million people in this country, with 500,000 more people working in the public sector than even in September 2018. 500,000 more. Indeed, the public sector has grown in size every quarter for 4 years. Is this affordable for taxpayers, especially as we enter recession? Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Elliot Keck, the Investigations Campaign Manager for the Taxpayers Alliance. And first of all, did this come as a surprise to you?
I think it will come as a surprise, certainly to many of your viewers. It's a really important rejoinder. A lot of the union narrative coming out from the current ongoing strikes is that the public sector is being really cut back to the bone, and that's just simply factually incorrect. The public sector growth has outstripped private sector growth since 2018, and it has grown by about 426,000 people, bigger than the overall headcount in Tesco. So it didn't come as a surprise to us, but I think it will come to a surprise to many of your viewers.
That's really, really crucial, that the public sector is growing faster than the private sector. After all, it's the private sector that pays for the public sector.
Yeah.
If we've got a public sector that's outstripping the private sector, that's a recipe for bankruptcy.
Absolutely, and it becomes even more of a problem if the public sector are demanding pay rises well above what the private sector is seeing. Just for example, with the nurses demanding 19%, and it's completely unsustainable. And I think one of the big problems for taxpayers at the moment is we're seeing a public sector that is growing and growing and growing and becoming more and more expensive, and yet year on year seems to be performing worse, whether it's waiting times, whether it's border waits at Heathrow, whether it's passport delays, whether it's driver's license. Really across the board, we're seeing taxpayers pay more for less, and that's a big, big problem.
But it is remarkable, because speaking to political campaigners, you'd hear that the state is being cut back. You'd hear that, for example, the NHS is being cut, when actually 50 billion more pounds in real terms has gone in over the last decade. I mean, it is remarkable. The state has grown to the largest point it's been in a very long time. The tax burden is the highest it's ever been on record. Why aren't we getting the results for all of this money?
I think the problem is, so much of it is that we are asking the state to do so much at the moment. We're asking it to intrude and interfere in so many areas of our lives, and we're asking it to expand its remit, quite frankly, unsustainably. We've seen the Conservative way forward look at the huge growth in the diversity industry within the state. We've looked at the number of comms officers, for example, that we see across the public sector and the way that that's grown. So I think in so many areas we're seeing the public sector get bigger, but get bigger in areas where we're not actually looking for the state to function. So what we need is a smaller, more nimble, more agile state that does the things that we really, really want, and where maybe actually it is paid slightly better because it is smaller. But at the moment we have a state that is growing larger and larger and larger, with a staff and a workforce that is demanding higher and higher pay rises, and it's just becoming unaffordable.
So in our last 30 seconds on the programme, what is your message to the government? What do they need to do to solve this issue?
Our message to the government is, over the next 2 years before the next election, to look at what the state should be doing and what it shouldn't be doing, and trying to cut back where it shouldn't be doing, and hopefully in the long term passing that on to taxpayers.
Well, Elliot Keck, thank you so much for bringing us that research this morning.